Okay. In one of my recent videos, I told you how I became a author and a Santa Claus, and how the Santa side inspired all those Christmas books I wrote and the children's books. But I left out a chapter, and even though this will fit somewhat into what my history has been, this will be the one time I talk about the fact that, in addition to all those wonderful, light, rhyming Christmas books and sweet Christmas stories from the trilogy and even The Night Before Christmas, I also had a little bit of a dark side that I got when I was only 9 years old. I'll tell you, I gotta tell you how the Return of the Birds and Revenge of the Birds, my two suspense thriller horror books, came to be. And it's actually kind of a funny story, but it is something that you might enjoy. When I was just 9 years old, my parents took me to the drive-in, as they used to do on occasion. This was way back in 1963. And the drive-in was playing two movies at the time. And the first one, I don't remember. I couldn't tell you what it was. And, my parents would take me and drive in occasionally, and they worked so hard and they did so much that typically, as soon as the first movie was even completed, they were out like lights in the car, one laying on one window, the other on the other. And before the dancing hot dogs finished their intermission commercial, they were sound asleep. And so the next movie began, and I was always awake. So it started out harmlessly enough, and I almost decided at the time that this is kind of boring. I'm going to wake my parents and tell them it's time to leave. And then it changed. A seagull came out of nowhere and struck a young woman who was trying to get across the bay in a boat, heading to what she hoped to be a meeting with her new beau. Well, for the next hour and a half of that darn 2-hour movie, I sat terrified watching the birds assault the hapless residents of a sleepy Northern California coastal town in wave after wave, and one then the other, and oh God, it was terrifying to a 9-year-old. So, and what was interesting, though, is when they got to the end of the movie, everyone piled in the car and drives away while being watched and looked over, completely surrounded by thousands of birds, and they didn't attack or anything. They just sat there, and that was the end. Wait, what? I mean, what happened to the town residents? Did they get attacked anymore? What caused the birds to attack in the first place? What happened to the birds after the attacks, or the people, or even the family that drove off into the sunset? Boy, and all the times I rewatched that movie, I just came away with more and more questions and no clue to the answers, not one. And those answers wouldn't come. There was no sequel, there was no part two, no explanations, nada, nothing. It wasn't until I sat down in front of my own laptop many, many years afterward in 2014, and I decided I was going to begin to tell that horrible tale all over again and answer those questions. Now, at the time, I was actually living in another coastal town in Southern California, some 55 years after the release of the birds. And now it was up to me to answer all those nagging questions. Through a whole lot of research and actually living in the coastal town. In fact, I was even a magazine feature writer for the local magazine that was there, and I was with them for many, many months and wrote many stories about the community. So I learned a lot about the community itself. But, you know, my relentless need for the answers I had sought since I was 9 finally came to fruition in all its glory in 2015. Or at least that's what I had thought. Return of the Birds turned out to be one of my best sellers, and after selling literally thousands of copies across the country and being asked to do a sequel several times on this, saying, well, what happens next? I knew that feeling, so I picked up the story again, and I continued with Revenge of the Birds, which was then published in 2019. So those are my dark novels, and there's only 2 of them. There's not going to be a third. But you know, whether you're a Hitchcock fan or you know the origins of the Daphne du Maurier story that he based that movie upon, or are just a fan of nature gone horribly wrong, Return of the Birds and Revenge of the Birds will keep you riveted and hopefully make you appreciate the beauty that surrounds us in the sky, even if it makes you pause. So, now you know how the fear of a 9-year-old turned one man into an author of a 2-book series of horror. So, I invite you, if you haven't looked at it already, or if you've looked at any of our other books, to grab a copy of Return of the Birds. And I've got the link right in the description there. You can go ahead and jump on there and see what it is. In fact, I'll even autograph and dedicate it to whomever you wish or however you wish. And, you know, if you're into digital copies, it's on sale right now at Amazon. Now, this is the end of May, and it's going to only be on sale till the end of June. So I would jump on that if I were you. And if you have any other questions, I would certainly enjoy answering them for you about either the Birds series or any of the other books that I've written. Now, the other thing is I'm going to ask once more, please subscribe and join our little group here. And I promise you're going to get all kinds of fun stories about what I've done in the past and how I've been, you know, enjoying being Santa Claus for a quarter century. But I'll also throw in some occasional stories about my writings and where I go. So please stay up with me. Hit the little notification bell too, so that way you'll know every time I post a video, which is going to be rather frequently. So, and again, if you have any questions, by all means ask me. I'm happy to. I really would like to get a conversation going with all my viewers. So please let me know what's on your mind. Until the next time, I'll see you after this. Ho, 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 ho.